Today, we start Season 6 of our draft-only franchise on NBA 2K24, our first ever time defending a championship here in this series. I do apologize for the length of time between episodes. It's been kind of hard for me to brainstorm exactly what kind of pace I want to be at as these seasons go along post-championship. I've also been preparing for a MLB The Show 24 franchise that I'm really excited to show you guys my ideas once that game gets closer. But I think at least for the regular season, I found a pace that I like and kind of an episode format that I like going forward. So my plan for these regular seasons is to do 2 episodes per regular season. The first episode will go up until the trade deadline, and some years it may include the trade deadline in the first episode. This year it won't, because I do want your guys' feedback on what we could do at the trade deadline, and we'll get to that at the latter part of the episode. But the other thing that's going to be happening is we're not going to be watching individual games in the regular season anymore, kind of just picking one game, say like the Pacers or something, and watching that. Instead, I plan on trying to simulate a little bit kind of what MLB The Show does with critical situations. If there's a matchup that I deem interesting, I'll go in, I'll simcast it until about 5 minutes left, maybe 4. And if the game is interesting, then we'll watch the end of these games. I think that way we can capture a little bit more of the season, kind of the interesting games of the season, rather than just watching 2 games out of 82, which I feel like is maybe a little less interesting. Maybe getting more fourth quarters, getting involved in a few more games throughout the regular season, but maybe not getting the entirety of those games. And we'll save full games for kind of the playoffs. Once again, I'm not quite sure what the pacing will be come the playoffs. If you have any ideas, I'd love to hear them. I'm kind of thinking right now we'll probably start going through the kind of the first couple rounds of the playoffs pretty quickly, and then maybe, you know, conference finals and finals, we can slow it down still and see those series more in their entireties. But, you know, we're a championship level team. You got to imagine here, we go to power rankings, we've got to be number 1 all across the board. Nope, never mind. NBA.com does not like us at all. Have us at 22. We just won the championship, didn't lose anybody, and we're ranked at 22. NBA.com is full of crap is what they're full of, but in reality, we're the best team in the league, so I don't feel like even round 1 and round 2 playoff series should be much of a problem for us, at least this year, while our team remained intact from last year's championship squad. So with that said, I'll start to do kind of, again, that critical situation hunting, find some interesting matchups, see if any of them end up being good games, and I'll see you once I start finding some of those. Here we've got our first quote-unquote critical situation. We got 5 minutes left here against the Wizards. They just had the number 1 overall pick in the draft, and we'll get our first look at him. And let's hop in and see if we can erase this 5-point deficit here in the final 5 minutes of this game. Malachi starts us off with a miss, but he puts it right back up and in to trim it to 3. That'll force a Washington timeout. But you guys will have to let me know what you think of this new format for the regular seasons. I think with the plan of us shortening them considerably, I like this method of still getting involved in several games throughout the year. We've got Malik Monk trying to drive, but absolutely shut down by Lowry and Mullins. Taking it to the corner. Shot clock winding down for Wesley. He needs to come up with something. Step back jumper. Off the mark. Excellent defense all around in that possession by Nashville. Have a chance to perhaps tie it here. Malachi instead going to go from the mid-range and splashes it in an early 4 points here in this critical situation. And here we have it. Edmund Sampson, the #1 overall pick in last year's draft, running the pick and roll, finding a man, Vic Rhodes, who will get to the free throw line here. Vic Rhodes, a top 10 pick in his draft, the same year as Malachi Pope and Francis Mullins, if I'm right. Might be off on that. There's a lot of drafts, and sometimes they blend together here. Malachi on the drive, kicks out to Francis Mullins, wide open top of the key, and just like that, Nashville has a lead. I don't know if that little tidbit on the bottom right is correct, and that's our first lead of the night. I can't remember from the Simcast, but our defense has been excellent here. This time a screen finally sets Wesley free for three, I should say. Washington back up on top, and here we get our first look. I did forget to show you the rotations that I'm starting this year with. I'll do that right after this game. This is just the second game of the year against Washington, by the way, as Pope hits another shot, up to 27 points tonight. He's been cooking. But you can obviously tell one big change is that Christian Davidson here is in our closing lineup. Lowry, good contest to force the miss. I've been really impressed with our defense. Davidson on the drive, shoots and scores, extending our lead to 3. Wesley with it again. Now Malik Monk driving, tough shot, and he hits it. Wish Washington would run through Sampson a little bit more. I know it's only his second game ever at the NBA level, but he's clearly their best player for the future. Now we see Lowry. Haven't seen much of him, as we would expect here down the stretch, but he makes that one look easy. Now a 2-possession lead for Nashville. Here's Sampson, defended by Davidson. Gets a screen, and he gets stuffed by Mullins all the way back to the other baseline. It goes out of bounds. Welcome to the NBA, young rookie Edmund Sampson. Mullins took care of that one in a big way. Now Washington will have 9 seconds to bring the ball back up and try to make something happen here. Sampson driving, and he's gonna be called for a charge there. Malachi does a nice job of stepping in his way. Oh, and here we see our first bit of impact, I should say, for the new rule that was implemented in this last offseason. Now it takes only 4 fouls in a quarter to become in the bonus. That was just the 4th foul for Washington, and it resulted in free throws where normally we just get it side out. So already seeing that new rule implemented in the offseason come to play here. Sampson misses that 3. Now Malachi with it. Dishes to Lowry on the wing. He's got space. Pulls up from 3, and it's off. That one could have been the dagger. Instead, Sampson quick to pull, and that one is pure. The rookie with a nice shot in transition. I think he's going to be a problem for us at some point here in this franchise as Pope hits another shot. He has been incredible down the stretch of this game, and we're going to owe this victory in large part due to him. And I think it's time we give Malachi Pope a nickname. And, you know, there's been some suggestions in the comments. I've had some thoughts myself, and I think I've found one that might stick with him. I think I'm going to call him The Answer. Because no matter what you need down the stretch of a game, you need a catch and shoot 3 like we just saw. Malachi's your answer. You need a perfectly pinpoint pass to Mullins on top of the key. He's your answer. You need the guy that'll go in, maybe even miss a shot down low, but grab his own board and put it right back up. Malachi Pope is your answer. He's just an insane player down the stretch of these games here. Lowry is going to pick up an assist to Mullins. That might just about do it in this game, but let me know what you think of that potential nickname. I've been trying to think of something that plays both into his skill set, which if you think of things that I think define Malachi Pope, it's one, his passing, and two, how clutch he is at the end of these games. And so wanted to combine that with also the fact that, you know, his name's Pope, first name Malachi, both kind of a nod to Christianity. Malachi from the Bible, Pope, obviously the leader of the Catholic faith, and, you know, the answer to your prayers, something like that. And here we're going to start a little bit of the foul roulette, but hopefully we can keep the lead. Davidson's certainly not the guy you want to have shooting these free throws down the stretch. You'd much rather see Lowry or even Malachi Pope, but I believe our best free throw shooter. So Washington not quite out of it yet, but they need to score, and quickly. That one's going to be an absolute brick. Rhodes, though, on the boards gives them another chance, but they're running out. Another miss, and Rhodes gets another board. This time can't find anybody to pass it to beyond the arc, though. Don't love Mullins not being able to out-rebound Vic Rhodes there, but in the end, Nashville will make that little mini comeback in the final 5 minutes of this game and come out victorious. Malachi Pope earns player of the game. He was certainly the best player in the last 5 minutes. It looked like he was having a good game before that, too. I should probably, before we hop into the games, just take a quick snapshot of what the player's stats are. Good learning tip for later. So, Edmund Sampson was absolutely awesome in this game. We didn't get to see too much. He did hit 1-3. But just an awesome game for what was likely his second game. It was our second game. 3 players scored 20 points. We get a double-double from Francis Mullins in this one. One thing I wanted to show you was the updated sliders. I reduced everything, the kind of the top 5 attributes of scoring success. Wanted to drop them a little bit, so that's where they're at now. And then, of course, I also want to show you my updated rotation. I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's about as good as I could get it. My goal for this rotation is I want to give Davidson the same role that I'm giving Stevens. Let them both play kind of similar minutes and see which one can show me that they should be on this team past this season. Now, my least favorite thing about this new lineup is Lamont Powers getting not only benched, but his minutes reduced to 16. I don't think this is a rotation that can last us all season long, but it's what we've got for now. Got another critical situation here. We are down by 2 against Houston here. Looks like Lowry has definitely been the leader for us so far this game. Trae Young and Jabari Smith Jr. each have put up 20 points. Jabari Smith on excellent efficiency. So let's hop in and see if we can close this one out as well, this time at home. And I am noticing here that the finals logo is still on our courts. That is something I forgot to change from, of course, our finals episodes just a couple episodes ago. So I'll make sure to change that before our next home game. One other thing that I've forgotten to show you guys, I'm just thinking of, is our mentors in training. So I want to show you guys that as well. So we will be doing that after the conclusion of this one. Moody pulls up and hits again. He's made both of our baskets here. Has not missed a shot in this game. Thompson with it. He's going to pull up from 3, but a little bit too much on that shot attempt. Lowry with the board. He's pushing it and pulling up in the mid-range. Splashes home a very quick 2, and we lead by 4 just like that. But Sid the Kid at 28 points on the night. Down just over 3 minutes left in this game. Cam Whitmore ties it. Oh no, he doesn't tie it back up. We were up by 4. My apologies. Malachi. Top of the key. He was excellent in our last critical situation here. He's trying to get Sidney Lowry going. That one just rims around and out. Lowry, not excellent efficiency here as Malachi gets a block this time on Trae Young. Again, whatever you want, both sides of the court, he's going to provide it, and there's the rare Malachi miss. Just trying to turn that excellent defensive play into quick points. Couldn't quite make it happen. Lynn Montgomery comes to set the screen for Trae Young. He's got space beyond the arc, but it's off the mark. Lowry going the other way. Dishes to Andre Stevens. Tough layup, and it's no good. Houston, a nice job staying home defensively on that possession. And Thompson splashes home the triple. Houston's back up top. 105 to 104 is Quinn Snyder. Uses a timeout. 2 left for Nashville. 2 minutes left in the game. Mullins inbounds to Malachi Pope. Our final 5 is on the court. Dishing it to Christian Davidson, trying to set up Mullins in the post. He gets the basket through the contact, drawing the foul as well on Tucker. Not familiar with Tucker. I don't think we've ever played against him, and I don't remember him being drafted. Mullins can't complete the three-point play, though. But that was still enough to put us on top by 1. Montgomery from the wing. Dishes to Young. Top of the key, pick and roll. Young. Good defense by Malachi Pope. Staying right with Trae there through the screen. Davidson left too much space, drills the 3, and it's a 2-basket game here. Just over a minute, remaining. Trae isolating against Malachi. Malachi shuts him down. He's forced to pass it out. Now he gets a screen here from Tucker. Only 5 seconds left. Good screen, gave him some space, but again, Malachi battling through. Last time he was our star offensively. This time he's been a star defensively down the stretch. Again, whatever you need down the stretch of these games, Malachi is the answer. Kick to the corner. Sidney Lowry for 3. That should be the dagger as we're up 7 with 30 seconds left. And after a little bit of free throw roulette, that would end this game. Trae Young with a bit of an empty calories 3 there with 0.5 seconds remaining, but Nashville picks up the win at home. This would make us 3-0 on the season, as we've had critical situations in 2 of our first 3 games right off the bat. But we get the job done at home in front of our Nashville fans, still with that Finals logo on the court. Lowry leads us today with 33, 7, and 5 double-doubles for each of our dynamic Duke duo. And Andre Stevens struggled a little bit from the floor today, as did Christian Davidson. And then Trae Young ends up dropping 30. So again, I wanted to show you a little bit just kind of our mentor and training schedule. James Harden will be mentoring Malachi Pope on these 3 badges. Jeremy Grant will be mentoring Lamont Powers on these 3 badges that you see right here. And then finally, we'll have Rudy Gobert mentoring Francis Mullins. We could maybe do the rookie center, but at this point in the franchise, I'm really worried about our core players getting as much development as they can. That's kind of the focus from here on out. And here's a little snapshot of how everybody's being developed kind of the older guys or the guys that are already maxed out. I'm not as concerned with what they're getting trained on, but there you have it. Another critical situation here, this time down 6, 4.5 minutes left. And I mean, Pope's almost got a triple-double brewing. But Sidney Lowry has been held to 3 points on 1 of 4 shooting. Christian Davidson is just 1 of 9. Yeah, no wonder we only have 85 points here with 4.5 to go. Scoot already has dropped 30 today. And we come back here. Henderson defended by Pope. Picks it up top of the key. Sharp needs to do something. Ends up pulling a really deep shot. And Mullins hauls in the rebound. Top of the Keith screen leads to a wide open Mullins jumper, and he has been drilling that top of the key 3 with regularity so far this episode. And I forgot to take the finals logo off. I was so concerned about making sure I showed you guys the mentorship and training that I forgot to do the logo. I'll 100% sure make sure I do it after this game, though, for sure. This will be the last time you see the finals logo on the court until we make the finals again this year, of course. Just trying to will that into existence. Oh, catch and shoot, no good. Scoot Henderson now with it. Dishes to Sharp. Moody on the defense. Dish inside to Guillermo Rodriguez. And it's a 7-point lead. We need to start stringing together some stops. Lowry. Defended by Jaden McDaniels. Very good defender. Could maybe sort of explain why he's been shut down so much, but even still, Sidney Lowry should have taken more than 4 shots before we hopped into the final 4.5 minutes in this game. I never want to see him with 4 shots at this point of a game, no matter who is defending him. Got to do a better job of giving him good looks off screens and stuff. 5-point game. Would love to get a stop here. Scoot just runs to a spot and fires a 3. You have a chance to make it a 1-basket game here. Lowry with it. Just screened by Mullins. Mid-range jumper. Pulled it right. Really needed that shot. Scoot with it. Off the handoff. Pulls up mid-range and it's another miss. Lowry. Top of the key. He awaits an Andre Stevens screen. He's going inside with it. To the rim. Gets fouled. Cannot quite make it a 3-point play. A couple of free throws. Only 5 points for Sidney Lowry. I mean, you're just not going to win a game very often with this squad if he's not, I mean, even in double figures yet. Normally you'd like at least 20 plus at this point in the game. If it's playoff Lowry, it's at least 30 plus. Nice screen there, frees up Henderson. And now the Blazers are back up to that original 6-point lead. That was a tough screen for Malachi to fight through, but we gotta force them into tougher shots. Lowry getting shut down by McDaniels again. I mean, you can see why it's been a tough night for McDaniels. He's not giving him an inch. There. Lowry finds a bit of space off the screen. A 4-point game. Scoots. It's another screen. Pulls up for another 3 off of it, and I just need Mullins to help out a little bit. I mean, Pope's obviously having some trouble getting through that screen. Gotta help a little bit there. Could obviously make some adjustments if this were a playoff game, but just a regular season game. We'll let things play out normally. Lowry. Spent by McDaniel. He's still making things tough for him. Pope, you know that one's going in, and it's down to 5. At this point, though, you cannot allow any more baskets. And we're just going to start the foul roulette right now. I don't want to go through all those free throws, so we're just going to simulate to the end of the game. Wish we'd have tried to just play one more good defensive possession. Malachi ultimately does not get that last rebound to get the triple-double. Sidney Lowry remained in single digits for the game. And now Sidney Lowry is injured for the next 2 to 4 months with a torn right bicep. 2 to 4 months. That's the second time we've seen Lowry have, not a season-ending injury by any means, but an injury that will keep him out for a substantial amount of time. Here is our new rotation to balance it. I said I didn't like Lamont Powers getting benched. Well, here, before we're even a month into the season, he's back into the starting lineup. Oh boy. This team without Sidney Lowry is still good. Malachi Pope, Francis Mullins, Andre Stevens, Christian Davidson, but Lowry's our superstar. Here we have another chance to hop into a game here. Up 6 to the Clippers, who were just in the Western Conference Finals last season. Getting things started with LA with the ball. Jordan Poole draws the foul on Andre Stevens on his way to the basket. Has a chance to just quickly cut this lead in half. Right at the start of this one. Now leading by just 3, Malachi. Running by Poole. Dishes to Moody in the corner. Trying to set up Mullins here on the interior. That's a tough shot. Forced by Robertson, who's a rookie. Already playing down the stretch for a Western Conference Finals caliber team from last year. Pretty impressive for the rookie. Bowman, this is our first chance to take a look at our rookie too. The one downside of these style of episodes, only playing the last few minutes, you don't often get to see some of these other players that typically play big roles for us. I am wondering why we're not seeing them now. Why is Davidson not on the court? We've had stoppages here in the final 4 minutes. Should be Davidson and Powers in this game, not Bowman and Moody. Mullins gets that basket to go, and it's tied. Already gave up that 6-point lead. Had to make that basket just to bring it back even. 2.5 minutes remain. Jalen Brunson dishes to Fletcher. Back to Brunson now. He's isolating against Pope. That was a nice move to get past him, but can't hit the shot. Mullins with a nice board. Going the other way, Moody with it. Back to Pope. He's going inside. Tough shots. And there you have it. Haven't seen us going nearly as much to Pope as I would like so far to start this critical situation, but we get it there. He's up to 22 points, 13 assists in this one. With Lowry out, this is the kind of production we're going to need from Malachi if we want to stay atop the East. And it's giving it to us today. Nashville leads by 2 here. Under 2 minutes remain. Pick and roll for Brunson. Step back from the mid-range. Falls. LA fans excited about it. Malachi Pope, top of the key. Andre Stevens comes to set the screen. And Pope missed that one, just short-armed it. That's not the kind of miss you usually see from Malachi Pope. But Moses Moody gets the steal. Malachi gets a second shot. And this time, it's right down the barrel. Fletcher, defended by Moody, dishes inside to Brunson. Somehow doesn't step out of bounds there. He had been forced out, but able to keep himself inside the boundary as Michael Porter Jr., probably at this point the longest tenured Clipper on this team, and he was not on the base Clippers roster. Get that clutch mid-range shot. Malachi with it. Going inside, just gets absolutely swatted. You're used to seeing Malachi make the right pass there. This time, I guess trying to draw a foul would be my guess on that one. Does not get the call. It wasn't a foul at all. Not saying that the refs missed anything or anything. Porter Jr. drills the three with 34 seconds remaining. The Clippers trying to steal this game at home. One that I wasn't even sure if I'd hop in as a critical situation up by 6. I thought for sure we had it in the bag, but I wanted to see this team without Sidney Lowry. Moody off the Malachi Pope assist, drills the tying three. We've got ourselves quite the game here. Both teams hitting really big shots. It's 124 to 124, so you can still get high-scoring games with our updated sliders. Just hoping to see a little bit more of variety. Looks like Los Angeles is trying to play for the last shot of this game. I think that's a wise choice. Not giving any chance for us to take the last second lead. They're feeding it to Brunson in the post, defended by Malachi Pope. That one is off. And we are headed to overtime here in Los Angeles. We will not watch the full overtime period. I think we'll sim about maybe the first 3 minutes or so of the overtime and maybe watch the last couple, unless one team absolutely goes on a massive run in the first few minutes of overtime and it's kind of already over. That would take some pretty big overtime dominance though to do that. So let's hop in. We'll try to stop somewhere maybe just inside 2 minutes, something like that. Like right here, 1 point game, 141 remaining. Let's see how this one plays out. Nashville with the lead and the ball. Moody trying to find somebody to inbound it to. Yeah, we must have had foul outs for both Christian Davidson and Lamont Powers. I mean, Bowman and Moody are still here. And I mean, Moody's been super clutch. We've yet to see Bowman even take a shot, as that's a nice look there from Malachi Pope. Brunson with it now. Defended by Malachi. Gets inside, dishes to Porter. Fletcher with it. Defended by our rookie. Brunson, way too much space from deep. Won't make us pay. Bowman now. Dishes to Pope. He gets a screen. Going inside, pulling up and hitting another shot. There we go. That's the Malachi we know and love. As you can see, averaging 20.5 points so far. Early on in this season, we're still only about 5 or so games in. We've had a lot of critical situations right off the bat. I feel like the beginning of our schedule has been against a lot of the teams I've been most interested to get an updated look at. Brunson with it now. Peel away the screen. Going inside and gets fouled on the jump shot by Mullins. Come on, Francis. You're 3. You're still young, but you should know better by now than to be fouling jump shooters. Oh. 30 seconds remaining. This would be big, but it's off the mark. No, Malachi, you don't miss those. You had space. It's a shot that you'd take 10 times out of 10 if you're Nashville, I think. And then Brunson hits it on the other end, and it's just a 1-point game. Moody or Pope are both excellent free throw shooters. We'll take either one here. Moody, first one's in. And number 2 is as well, but that's foul on Jalen Brunson on that mid-range shot. Makes this still just a 1-possession game. Los Angeles could send this into a second overtime with a 3-pointer here. Bounty, double pumps. Porter pumps as well and just nails it right in the face of his defender. Oh my goodness. Porter Jr. has nailed a couple of massive shots in this game. We've got 8 seconds. That's plenty of time to find a good look. Give it to Malachi. Give him a screen. What is that play? That is a terrible play by Quinn Snyder. No screen. You just have Moses Moody bringing his defender into the play. What is that? Oh my gosh, just a waste of a possession with 8 seconds left, man. I can't even blame Malachi for that. That was an awful play design. Oh, let's simulate a couple minutes into this second overtime as well. That's so frustrating. Now we're down 6. Just give Malachi a good look there. 8 seconds is plenty of time. Oh, look. See, Quinn, that's what you're supposed to do. You give somebody a flipping screen. Ugh. Now we're going to likely lose this game unless these guys who are probably 40-plus minutes into their night. Malachi might have even hit 50 at this point. Unless we can make a nice comeback. And here we are back within 1 minute left. We could still win this game. I kind of accepted the loss with us being total dum-dums at the end of our first overtime period. But we're still in it. Need to stop here, though. Brunson. Took him a solid 15 seconds to get the shot that he wanted, but he ultimately finds it. And what is he doing with that hand? Up near his ear, no less. That's... We're not going to talk about it. Down by 3, 50 seconds remaining in double overtime. Could see both teams hit the 150 mark here. Pope gets a screen from Andre Stevens. Dishes it to him. The finish on the interior. So we will not tie it here. We'll bring it back within 1. Try to get one more stop. Brunson. Defended by Malachi Pope. Spinning. Driving again. He's just taking his sweet time on these drives. This time he passes out. And then the screen frees up Brunson, and it's a 4-point game with 17 seconds left. I mean, Malachi plays excellent defense for half the shot clock, but then gets just obliterated by a screen. Pope on the interior dishes out. Moody just forced to take a terrible shot. These end game play calls have been absolute garbage, dude. So now we have a little bit of an update here. Want to do this at the end of every month just to see how the season is going. We are only 10-8 right now on the season. Not quite as good as you want to start. Of course, Sidney Lowry did get injured, but we weren't doing too hot in the first 10 or so games that he was on the team either. I mean, we had a 4-game losing streak with Sidney Lowry on the team. So not quite the record we want right now. And It'll be interesting to see if we can improve on that in the month of December with our star out, likely for the entirety of the month. So that being said, let's hop on into December now. We've got another critical situation up 4 against Milwaukee late here. They've been an interesting team since they've had to kind of restart after trading away Giannis early on in this franchise series. We're going to enter the game here on some Jeremy Sohan threes. Christian Davidson to check into the game. Sohan goes 2 for 2, so it's really more like a 2-point lead here with under 4 minutes remaining. Mullins here with the ball. Defended by Jalen Duren. Step back, creates space for Mullins to drill the easy jumper. Sends our lead to 4. And Monty McDaniel, he was somebody that I really wanted to draft in his draft. He has not improved a ton from when he first came into the league. That was kind of his shtick, was that he was at a good starting point, but not much room to improve. Here he's just kind of dribbling in the face of Lamont Powers, who gets the stop. Now under 3 minutes. Going to Mullins again. Last time did a nice job beating Duren. Here he does again. Could we see this as Mullins' big late game moment? We've seen some from Pope. Seen some from Moody, surprisingly, considering he's usually not even in the lineup in this stage of the game. But don't get me wrong, Mullins has also had some nice moments in these late game situations as well. He just hasn't had kind of his signature game where he's taken over. Here he's starting to get doubled. Milwaukee not wanting to let him beat them here, trying to make somebody else do it, and Andre Stevens misses the 3. Fox with it. Defended by Mullins. Beyond the arc. No good. Maybe a little bit scared from the Mullins block from his left. Andre Stevens. This is a better look from deep, and it splashes home. We lead by 9. With Sidney Lowry out, I think it gives Christian Davidson a much bigger role. He becomes our secondary shot creator as Duren gets the 3-point play opportunity here. So this is a good opportunity to see what Christian Davidson can provide this team with Sidney Lowry out, because I always felt like his role has been pushed back a little bit. That's why we've had him coming off the bench, is because we already had the shot creation we needed in our starting lineup. But with Lowry gone, that's certainly not the case anymore. This time a nice feed inside to Pope. He's got 23 points tonight in 35 minutes. Leading by 8. Milwaukee needs a bucket here. It's not going to come from Fox. But the offensive rebound by Duren gives McDaniel a wide open corner 3. This one's not quite over yet, but Milwaukee need to stop. We're going to Pope, isolating against Fox. Floater just off. Milwaukee with a chance to make this just a 1-basket difference now. Fox inside on Andre Stevens. Has the layup fall and is just 3 points. Under 40 seconds remaining. Malachi Pope gets the screen. Going inside. Tough shot over Jeremy Sohan, but he gets it to fall. He continues to come through time and time again in these late game situations for us. Of course, we're going to ignore the fact that he missed his last shot. All that matters is that he made his most recent one. And then Milwaukee calls 2 timeouts in a row. You gotta love it. I seriously don't know why sports games have such a difficult time with timeout logic, dude. I feel like Madden's got better this year in Madden 24, honestly. Like their timeout logic was the best that we've had in years. Still not perfect, but they made an improvement. 2K needs to do the same. You see these teams take the double timeouts way too often, as great defense is going to force the De'Aaron Fox miss. And I thought that was going to be Bucks ball, but it will be Nashville Sound ball instead. Why is Davidson the only one there to accept the inbound pass? He's our worst free throw shooter of all of our guards. And there he is again. Why is Pope not back there? Pope's our best free throw shooter. Some of these late game decisions by Snyder are just awful right now. I mean, Davidson makes them both, but that's not the kind of risk you want to take. I don't know, man. Not been impressed with some of these late game situations. We've come up with the win more often than we haven't, but ooh, don't want to be making bad decisions like these come the playoffs. I'll just say that. So Nashville will come out with a 111-104 victory over the Bucks, able to hold on to that lead in the final minutes due to some pretty well-rounded contributions, I'd say. I think everybody played their part there in some way or another. And unfortunately for December, that would really be the only game to hop into here. This December 23rd game would have been another one, but it didn't really get close till the final minute. So we're going to end the month with a record of 22-11. Much better in December, and this is all without Sidney Lowry, I'll remind you. And now, I think for the first time this season, I actually want to take a minute and just look at where everybody's scoring here this season. Looks like Sidney Lowry, his injury's up to orange now. I think he could maybe play. We're just going to let him get healthy, though, for the next week or so. And then we'll finally have him back at some point here in January. But we've got Malachi Pope scoring 21 a game with 9 assists for us, shooting 55% from the field and 46.5% from 3. I mean, can we get this guy to up his volume a little bit? I mean, with that sort of efficiency, he's only taking 13 shots a game. I want that up. If you're going to be that good with it, I mean, goodness, Malachi, what a season it's been for him. We definitely don't need to up his minutes, but maybe upping his usage could be something we look at doing. Mullins, I think at this point in his career, he's shown you that he's a 14-10 kind of guy, 14-11, that plays excellent defense. His efficiency, unfortunately, has dropped off for the second consecutive year, shooting under 30% from 3 again. Christian Davidson here, he has had a little bit of a resurgence of late. Last I checked, he was shooting under 40%, so he's got that up to 42, but still a pretty big efficiency dip for our guy Christian Davidson. Give him a chance to start, and I think he's proven that he might be the most comfortable in that 6th man role, something that I've hypothesized really throughout his career. Wanted to give him a chance to prove that he's, you know, somebody that should start on a nightly basis. Don't know if he's really shown it to me so far. And I think maybe when Sidney Lowry comes back from injury, Davidson might be sliding back into that 6-man role. Lamont Powers here, 13 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal and a block, shooting 45% from the field, 35% from deep, improving both his volume and efficiency from last season. Yeah, I think he's going to start. I think we're going back to what we had in the playoff run last year once Sidney Lowry's back. I just think it's kind of where we look best right now. Andre Stevens here, he's having his worst year of his career so far. So both of the guys, I'm trying to decide between Andre Stevens and Christian Davidson here, and neither of them are showing me much confidence that they want to be here long term. I mean, can they're both having their worst years yet. And this is like their tryout year for who might get paid by this team. I just wish one of them would inspire me a little bit here. Moses Moody, I mean, we know who this guy is. Not going to take a lot of volume, going to play good defense, going to shoot with good efficiency. And I really like Moses Moody. He's the same as he always is. Now let's talk about rookie Phil Bowman. He, in 16 minutes a game, is averaging 8 points, grabbing a couple boards, getting an assist. Not great from the field, but you like where he's at from three, which is exactly what we got him to do. And I imagine if we end up making a trade to get our team permanently to a 9-man rotation, he might get some ups in his minutes to about 20 per game, would be my prediction. AC Stevens here, we know who he is as well. He's got his efficiency back up. He was just barely shot 50% last year after being well above that in other years, and he's back up to what we expect of him here. And then Ernest Augustine here. He is in his 20 minutes a game, averaging 7 points, 4.5 rebounds, assists and a half, shooting 43% from the field, 33%, which is his career high from three. Not quite his career high from the field. He had that in his rookie season. This is the guy that I was planning on trading for sure this year. Certainly still likely to happen. Just kind of the Sidney Lowry injury did mess with kind of the timeline for trading and stuff, because of course with him out, we need to have guys that we trust, getting those minutes, and Augustine certainly is one of those guys. He's played in all these games. Everybody except for Lowry has played in every game. We have had minor injuries to Andre Stevens and Francis Mullins, but we just told them to play through it, and they have. So that could be part of the reason you talk about these maybe lower efficiencies, but honestly, they were each like 2 games worth of injuries. So I don't know if they're really muddying the water all that much. But I had one takeaway. Very happy with what I'm seeing from Pope. Would love to see increased volume with that type of efficiency. And then I was really hoping for one of Andre Stevens and Christian Davidson to say, hey, pick me, keep me. And neither has done it in both about 28 to 29 minutes a game here in the season. And now here is our final update here at the end of January. Well, we will be leaving off this episode. Again, January, not a month with a lot of games for us to hop into. It just happened that a lot of the close games, like here in Utah and Toronto, those are the games that I didn't simcast, and the games that I wanted to watch, if they were close, like the Bulls or the Sixers or the Cavaliers, those games just weren't really close. So we're gonna end the episode here at 34-16. Let's take a look at how the league stands here. We are the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference, Miami Heat, number 2, Charlotte 3, and so on and so forth. Here are your rankings. It looks like Cleveland may not make the playoffs this year. Boston either, 2 of our playoff matchups from last season. And the Pacers are even in the play-in right now, so they have not been quite as good as you would expect. Out in the West, Seattle, despite losing all their players, still number 1, huh? They've rebuilt around Patrick Baldwin, Karl Anthony Towns, Hawkins Daniels. This is the number 1 team in the West. I mean, easy money, except for the teams under them, I think are actually a lot better. Going against Scoot, who we saw earlier this episode, is a hard man to guard. Jamal Murray, who we didn't even see, but we know he's hard to guard. This will be a tough team, and we know how good the Spurs are. I mean, they're at number 3, and it's because Wemby's hurt. How much longer is he hurt is the question. Let's see, just day to day, so nothing serious there. And here you have the look of the Western Conference Finals here. The reason I wanted to end here is I wanted to end before the trade deadline, because I think we have very tough decisions to make. and I want your opinion on them. I think right now, ever since Sidney Lowry has returned, this has been the rotation we're using. It's only given Bowman 8 minutes a game. I don't love that. We could take minutes away, I guess, from Hope or Lowry, but I don't love that either. Again, it's just kind of like last year. I think we're a 9-man rotation truly, and though the 10-man rotation hasn't been nearly as much of a problem for us as it was last year, it's still, I think we need to do something. Now, the obvious thing would be to trade Ernest Augustine because he was wanting $20 million last offseason, but we did see his potential go down, so I'm interested to see what he's asking for now. He's only asking for about $13.5 million a season now that his contract is up next year. That's a lot more tenable. That is a massive decrease. That's only about 65% of what he was asking for last offseason. And so I think he's still definitely a trade candidate, but if we end up getting rid of Andre Stevens, Ernest Augustine's the guy that's going to replace him. So we can't get rid of both. Now let's take a look at updated asks for the other guys on the block. We got Andre Stevens. He's down to asking for about $28 million. So down about $5 million from what he was asking for last season. And now let's take a look finally at Christian Davidson. He still wants $38 million. So I just wanted to give you a snapshot of what these guys are asking for. And I'm also just gonna, not publicly, but privately, see what we could get. And because I want you guys to be as informed as you possibly can be. 29 is next year's draft, by the way. So a top 3 protected from Philly. We saw, I think, is the 14th seed in the East right now. But here's just kind of a look at some of these. Obviously, the ones without first-round picks are garbage, but we're just looking at what caliber of first could we get. I think that Philly first is quite nice, honestly. I think it's going to be hard to top. The Nets, I can't remember where they're at, but I know they're not one of the best. Pelicans, I don't remember seeing them among the league's best. They just lost Zion. Phoenix, willing to give us a top 3 protected next year. So we could get a very juicy looking first round pick back for Christian Davidson. Now, Christian Davidson makes that team substantially better this year. He's an 85 overall. And although let's take a look at his updated stats now, actually. He's down to 13.5 points per game. Shooting is pretty similar, so still kind of the down year for him. His assists are up, but otherwise a little bit worse than he was last year. Or what could we get if we put Andre Stevens on the block? What kind of firsts are being offered to us? So far, not a single one. He is making a little bit more money. That should be said. The Suns are still offering us their first, but his top 5 protected. They're also giving us, they want Lamont Powers. No, that's not. I wasn't looking at those other offers, what else they were asking for. But we're not giving away Powers. What about Augustine? What kind of value can we get from him? A second rounder. Okay, another second rounder. Oh, there's only 2 offers out there. So Ernest Augustine doesn't look like he has a lot of suitors. We could get a second round pick years in the future. I don't think that is very beneficial to us. So we might just hold on to Ernest Augustine. Again, Andre Stevens, there was one offer for a really good first round pick, but it included Powers, which we're not going to do. So we could manually probably come up with something, maybe with Phoenix, because we know they were willing to part with their first round pick. But that's kind of the value you're seeing. So who should we trade? Who should we move on? We could probably come up with a manual trade for Ernest Augustine as well. But we're losing one of these 2 in the offseason. So far this season, neither one of them has proved to me that they're far more valuable to this team than the other. And so I don't want to lose either of them obviously, I'm very attached to this team, and I love everyone that we're giving minutes to right now. Haven't seen much of Bowman yet, but I'm sure I'll fall in love once we do. And so this is a very tough decision for me. As you see, Moody's on a little bit of a minor injury right now, but nothing serious. I don't love losing anybody, but decisions must be made, and so I want your input. The last thing, just to again make sure that you are perfectly well educated on kind of the choice above ahead of us. What are the options for replacement? Because, you know, if we're going to lose one, how do we replace them? So Jonathan Adkins here, I think, is kind of by far and away my favorite potential Christian Davidson replacement. He can score really good in the mid-range, still a solid from three. Playmaking is not great, so you don't know if he can play backup point guard. We'll certainly have to train that up if we're going to have him play backup point guard. But excellent defender, really good IQ, excellent athleticism, really good size for a guard as well, 6'5", over 210 pounds. I like Jonathan Adkins quite a lot. Gene Sylvester, I think, is one of two guys that I could see being an Andre Stevens replacement. He is kind of that jack of all trades, master of none. He does not have good perimeter defense, but not really elite anywhere, but doesn't have a ton of weaknesses either. That's kind of the mold that we got Andre Stevens with when we drafted him. I think Andre Stevens was a better version of it than Sylvester here, especially because he's about 40 pounds heavier and 2 inches taller, excuse me. But Sylvester could be that guy. And the other guy is actually listed at center, but he's not even 210 pounds. So I'll just tell you right now, he's not a center. But he can shoot the three a little bit. He's an elite interior defender. That's why he's listed at center. Can rebound really well. Has solid IQ and athleticism. So these are, of the guys I've scouted so far. We'll go a lot more through the draft in the next episode as we finish off the regular season. But these are the three guys that I think could potentially replace one of them. So do we trade somebody, or do we hold on to this roster saying, let's ride it out one more time. Let's win one more championship. Looks to be after another kind of shaky start to start the season. That just might be our signature, that we are taking over the Eastern Conference. Could even be a 60-win team this year. So do we break that up to try to get value instead of losing one of our key players for nothing? Or do we get value while hurting our chances of repeating this year? It's a tough decision, one that I'm genuinely asking for your input on. I will say, just because I hear something in the comments doesn't mean 100% sure that I'll implement it, but let's just say I can be persuaded one way or the other. So let me know what you think we should do. Number one team in the East, defending a championship. I need to update this. He's not untouchable. Lowry is. There we go. These are our untouchables. And man, this is an extremely tough decision for me. This is like my least favorite part of franchise, is when your team gets too good and you can no longer pay them. And we're at that point coming this next offseason. So that's all I've got for this first episode. Again, also let me know what you think of these regular season episode formats. If you like going through multiple games, just kind of the final few minutes, or if you'd prefer me to choose one or two spotlight games and go over those games more completely going forward in these regular seasons. But we'll be back soon with more Nashville Sound. And until then, sound up.